All right, we are live. What is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Eric Wilson, today joined by my co-host, Anthony Rivardo. Will is going to be joining us a little later on, but until then, me and Anthony are going to be sitting here talking to you guys, previewing tonight's game, an original six matchup against the Detroit Red Wings. Until then, me and Anthony are going to be sitting here talking to you guys, previewing tonight's game, an original six matchup against the Detroit Red Wings.
I'm doing well, just kind of enjoying my night and looking forward to watching some hockey tonight, having some pizza, that kind of thing, just hanging out, relaxing, hoping to see the Rangers get a win.
Is that better? I think it might have been me. Okay. Sorry. Technical difficulties, as we usually have. We got Collin in the chat here. It says, "Let's go Rangers." I miss you, Collin. Tony, while we let the chat fill up and we get the fans coming in, how are you feeling headed into tonight's game?
Feeling all right. I mean, listen, I think it's going to be an uphill battle for the next couple weeks probably without Adam Fox in the lineup. Igor Shesterkin was supposed to be the backup tonight. He's been ruled out, so they had to call up Louis Domingue again. So I think that's an interesting storyline to keep an eye on. Jonathan Quick, how does he perform? Is he going to continue playing well? I mean, it's been a little streaky for him. First game was great. Last game, okay. Let's see how he does going forward. But I think it's going to be an uphill battle, like I said, for the Rangers for the next few games here as they try and get past some of these injuries. Of course, Philip Hedl on IR. Like I said, Adam Fox out for at least the next 9 games while on long-term injured reserve. They're a banged-up squad right now, but they're still playing good. And they still have a ton of talent. So I'm hopeful that we can pull out the win. But like I said, it's going to be an uphill battle.
Yeah, it is going to be a tough one. Detroit is a pretty good team. They're currently 7-4-1. So the Rangers are a little better at 8-2-1, but it should be a hard-fought battle against the Red Wings here. As Wayne kind of points out, please get the puck deep and check the hell out of them. Yeah, it's going to be a pretty big physical game, especially with a couple of our big players not in the lineup tonight. I think that new third line is going to be the most physical line that we have right now. We have Will Cooley, Nick Bonino, and Capo Caco, which Caco demoted down to the third line for tonight's game. Blake Wheeler is apparently the man who gets to play up on the first line tonight. So I think those lines should be interesting to see tonight, Tony. What are your thoughts on Caco on the third line? I think that's a mistake?
No, I don't, because I think that his play style might suit him well down there. He's not putting up a lot of goals, not scoring a lot of points, but he's still controlling the puck well. He's skating well, and he's playing pretty physical. And so I think that those factors mixed in with the playing style of Cooley, I think down there on the third line, that's probably a good fit for Capo Caco. Like I said, the Rangers have been dealt a pretty crappy hand in terms of injuries. So I think it's like you got to try and shake something up with all of these injuries. And I think that bringing Caco down to the third line, while on paper and initially looks kind of crazy, I think when you sit and think about the playing style of the players that he's playing alongside and his playing style alone, I think that his presence down on the third line, where he's spent the majority of his career in the first place, I think it makes sense for this Rangers team that just kind of needs to bring a little bit of stability in after a shaky overtime loss. And again, considering all of the injuries that are piling up.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of agree. And I know Laviolette said he thinks that entire first line, especially Kako in particular, needed a bit of a change of scenery. So the third line, I get it. But I think the biggest thing that's irking me right now is the fact that Blake Wheeler is up on that first line. As Collin said, he's in Madison Square Garden tonight to watch the game. Here in the flesh looking for a Wheeler hat trick tonight. I doubt that'll happen, but, maybe on the first line, he can continue to produce some points. Kind of as Pavel just said, I can't wait to see Wheeler on the first line. Hopefully his first goal is incoming. Wheeler is one of those players who had a very slow start to his tenure with New York, only 1 point in 11 games. There was 1 assist that came in last game's loss against Minnesota, still looking for that first goal. So I think when you see him playing on the first line with Kreider and Zibanejad, we might be able to see a little bit of a different Wheeler, playing with more offensive-minded players and Kreider and Zibanejad. But you also got to consider the fact that both Kreider and Zibanejad, most of their points have come on the power play. So, we talk about how good they are, but at 5v5, they're a big part of the reason why Kako had a hard time breaking out. And I'm not sure if I can see them helping Wheeler start to break out. But Tony, I'm not sure how you feel about Wheeler on that first line. Do you think it's what he needs, or is this just like he's going to be hell?
No, I don't think it's going to be hell. Yeah, I think it's what he needs. Is it what the team needs? I think that's to be determined. But I think that the increased time on ice for him in particular should benefit him and should hopefully propel, something out of him. I think that, listen, we've made a lot of we've had a lot of discussion about Blake Wheeler's performance on this channel over the past few episodes. I don't side on the camp with Eric and Will about him being terrible, washed up, and can't perform anymore. I'm closer to Collin. I'm not necessarily all the way on Collin's side, where I think that he's still this great player. I think that he's okay. And like Collin said in that one episode, he's adjusting to a new role and a new team and a new environment. And I think that maybe pushing him more into the spotlight, I don't think it can hurt. It's kind of like, I'm going to use a funny analogy here. It's like when you have a kid and you want them to learn how to swim and you just throw them into the deep end and they kind of just fight for their life and they figure out how to swim. It's almost like what they're doing to Blake Wheeler right now. And I don't necessarily hate it because they've tried to ease him in, get him worked in on this third line, down there, and it hasn't really worked out. Throw him into the deep end, have him out on the first line, see how he performs. Maybe this is the spark that he needs to kind of turn it around and start to perform better.
If there's one man who can tell us more about his opinion on Blake Wheeler, he is about to join us right here. Hey, Will.
Sup? Sorry for being late.
Not gonna work. It's all good. We have a very important question for you here, Will. Blake Wheeler on the first line. How you feeling?
I mean, point, like, what else are you gonna do? Kako isn't. Wait, what happened?
You froze for a second.
Oh, of course I did. Yeah, I mean, I can't be too mad at it. Kako, not that he didn't work out. I just think 11 games through, he's not really producing, but the whole line isn't really producing. I don't think it's Kako's fault. You can't blame it on Kako. I think it's more on Zibanejad and Kreider only having 3 points combined at 5v5. But I mean, I guess your best option is Blake Wheeler because you don't really want to split up Panarin and Lafreniere since they're working so well together. But I mean, we all know how I think about what my thoughts on Blake Wheeler. I really don't like him, but I mean, if it gets that line going, hopefully it does. It probably won't, but right now it's the best option they have. But it really shows how terrible the right wing depth on this team is. It's not good.
And you say that you don't want to split up Panarin and Lafreniere because of how well they play together, but like in recent games, the way that I kind of look at it is Panarin is playing really well. But Lafreniere hasn't recorded a point in like 4 or 5 games, I think it is. So even he isn't really succeeding. Like I feel like if I were Laviolette and I wanted to switch things up, I don't know if I would have gone as drastic as sending Kakko down to the third. Maybe just a swap between Kakko and Lafreniere, kind of give them both a change of scenery, but not taking away from their ice time. I don't know, Tony, how you feel about that possibility, or
No, I kind of side with Will on this one. I think keeping Panarin, Trocheck, Lafreniere together is the right idea. I like that line. But what I will say, Will makes a great point. The lack of depth at the right wing spot is definitely a cause for concern for the Rangers. And I do wonder if things don't turn around here, if they do make that one call up that we've kind of all been speculating about all season and even heading into the season. Are we going to see Brennan Othmann sometime soon? And I know that there's a big debate here. Don't rush Brennan Othmann in, right? You don't want to see him hit the NHL ice too soon. But then again, the Rangers, if they start to falter here, and a lot of that is because of that right wing spot, I don't think it hurts to bring in this young blood and have him try and kind of bring a spark to this team, see if, this young kid can kind of go out there and make some sort of splash or some sort of spark for this lineup. So I do think that, maybe it's too soon to start calling for Othmann and start saying, let's call him up. But I think that let's see how this works out over the next few games. And if this right wing spot doesn't really get fixed for the Rangers and they still seem to have some struggles here, Blake Wheeler continues to not perform up to par. Kaapo Kakko continues to struggle. I think that maybe we could see Brennan Othmann get called up here and start to get his first NHL playing time.
I mean, it is possible because if we're really going to roll with the Kako on the third line thing long term. I don't know if it is going to be long term. We'll see what Laviolette wants to do. But even if Blake Wheeler starts to falter at that first line, the way I see it is potentially Othman on the first or second, Lafreniere on the other, Kako the third, and then Blake Wheeler the fourth could be a thing. Or if we don't want to go from within the organization, there's one big free agent right winger out there that everyone knows that could always fill in. Will, you just rolled your eyes, and I know you know exactly who I'm talking about. So while you give me your thoughts on that, everyone in the chat, let us know your thoughts on Patrick Kane to the New York Rangers. Is he a solution to this right wing problem, or am I crazy?
I don't think so. Like I love Patrick Kane, right? Like he's been one of my favorite players since I was younger. I mean, like in his prime, he was great, but I don't think he's a solution to this team right now. I just don't. Like I think you can bring up Othman, but I mean, if they don't want to burn a year of his ELC, I guess you could bring up Kane, but I kind of just want to steer clear from him.
That's a fair assessment. Pavel in the chat says yes to Othman, which I think when it comes to him or Kane, I would probably lean towards Othman at this moment, but I wouldn't be mad about Kane either. On the subject of the game tonight, Wayne in the chat says, please don't take any dumb penalties tonight. Now, Tony, I know you've talked about penalties a lot recently. And one man in particular, the man, the myth, the legend, Barclay Goodrow, as Pavel just said, Goodrow plus a pick to Arizona. That'd be nice, Tony. Break down the penalties, break down Goodrow. How are you feeling?
Listen, we had a nice change of pace without him in the lineup as he went off to welcome his child into the world. Congratulations to him once again. But Barclay Goodrow is back in the lineup, and so I do anticipate there are going to be some stupid penalties committed by that fourth line just because of Barclay Goodrow. For what it's worth, I mean, Collin's been pretty vocal about this. It's not just Goodrow. He also mentioned Vincent Trocheck. I'm not allowed to talk down on Vincent Trocheck or slander him in any way, so I'm not going to say anything about him. But Barclay Goodrow has been the main culprit in my eyes for the stupid penalties. The Rangers in general have had a lot of stupid penalties, and they've played pretty sloppy at times. But they've also done a fine job on the penalty kills. I think this team is performing well, but Barclay Goodrow, yes, he does bring a level of concern to this lineup for me re-entering that, he could get too physical, he could make some dumb mistakes, and it could come back to haunt the Rangers.
Yeah, it is a possibility. I do think it's interesting to note, though, as much as we slander Barclay Goodrow, the one game that he misses is when the win streak ends. So it kind of makes me wonder a little bit here.
Well, I'll jump back in there, and I will say I have been critical of Barclay Goodrow, but I've also been saying I don't think that he should be scratched or anything like that because I think that his playing style is necessary to that line because he is that grimy grinder, like he is that physical presence. He does check. He lays out some big hits. Some of them are really stupid, as we keep mentioning. But that playing style, I think, is necessary for this mentality that the Rangers are trying to play with. I think that there is an element to Goodrow's game that is almost necessary to this team. So again, I'm cautious and I'm concerned that there's going to be some dumb penalties here and some stupid moments from Barclay Goodrow. But overall, I like the presence that he brings to that fourth line. And if he could just clean up some of those head scratching moments, I think that he is really valuable to this team.
All right. Now, Will, legally, Tony could not say anything bad about Vincent Trocheck, the two Italian brothers right there. But I'm pretty sure you can give me a full breakdown, Will. How are you feeling about Trocheck so far? Because Collin is always really critical of him, saying that he always takes penalties too, which I think is pretty good assessment of the situation. But I don't think he's as bad as Goodrow. But I'm curious to know how you feel about Trocheck so far. Hasn't really gotten a lot of points, but he's been on the third line. So just overall, how are you feeling about him?
I've been very critical of him in his Ranger tenure. I really I wasn't upset when we signed him, but I did think he should have been the 2C after the 2022 playoffs. But this year, I mean, he looks fine. He looks like his normal self, but I think he's taken a penalty, at least one penalty every single game, and they're stupid penalties. And that I remember I was leaving Georgia on Friday, and my Oh, it was 3-3, and he took a penalty. And as soon as I got off the plane, the first thing I saw was Vincent Trocheck in the box. That was the first thing, and they in the Wild scored and made it 4-3. So he's always taking stupid penalties, and they don't always lead to goals because the PK has been great this year, but he takes a lot of stupid penalties, and that's the only knock I have on him this year is the dumb penalties he takes.
Yeah, it is fair. It is a problem the Rangers do have pretty much overall as a team, but the special teams has pretty much come through. Like you said, the penalty kill has been phenomenal. The power play has been even better. Which the power play itself, that I just want to say, I feel like that first and second unit, it's like night and day. Even with Fox injured, you have Gustafson acting as the defenseman on the first power play unit. It's like when Zibanejad, Panarin, Kreider, when that group is on the ice, I'm like, it's like the best hockey that I'm watching. And then as soon as it's like the kids and Jacob Trouba and like, I don't even know who's on the second unit anymore. As soon as they come out on the ice, I'm like, all right, like I don't even want to watch this anymore because it's just how bad they are. But I guess, yeah, kind of as Tommy just said in the chat, the second power play unit gives me a stroke. I have to agree with that. Now, Tony, just the difference between power play 1 and power play 2, it's night and day. Like I said, if you were Laviolette, do you keep it that way where you have all of your stars up on that first unit and the second unit's kind of just left out to dry and hope that they'll figure it out? Or do you kind of separate them? Maybe put one of the stars on that second unit and then kind of have just 2 above average power play teams rather than just one really, really good one and one really bad one?
Personally, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. And I think that first power play unit has really been the success of the Rangers this season. Like we talk so much about, they don't have a lot of even strength goals, but they have a lot of power play goals. And that's all coming pretty much from that first unit. So if that's really the backbone of this Rangers season, why tinker with it? You know what I'm saying? Like I get the argument, maybe even them out a little bit more, but then you're probably just going to lose some goals on that first power play unit and probably not gain a whole lot more on that second power play unit. So for me personally, this is the backbone of this team right now, is this first power play unit. Kreider, Trocheck, Panarin, Zibanejad, and Gustafson. I'm sticking with that. I'm not making any changes there. And I think that, like I said, if it isn't broke, there's no need to go ahead and try and fix it.
Yeah. I won't lie. I am in agreement with you. I love that first power play unit. It's just the second one is so infuriating that I don't even know where to begin on like addressing the issues involved with it. But Will, you look at that second power play unit, which Collin says hi, Will, in the chat. You got some fans here. You look at that second power play unit. Like, what is going so wrong with it? How can they be better and maybe even just get close to being on par with the first?
I don't think they'll ever be on par with the first just because they don't have like Panarin, the likes of Panarin or Zibanejad or Kreider. But like, I mean, they can't get set up in the zone, and they do have one power play goal this year. But I just think, I mean, they're really not getting any time because the power play 1 unit always scores. Like there's never, I mean, they're not scoring all the time, but on most power plays they're going to score, so they're not going to get on. But I don't know, the second power play just doesn't know how to get set up. All they do is pass. They don't really take any shots. It's kind of like the power play 1 of last year. It's all pass and no shot, and then after that, it just, the puck just exits the zone, goes all the way down, and they have one more rush to get up and get set up, and that's about it.
Yeah, that's fair. And one name that you mentioned in that little discussion on the first power play unit, I'm going to pull up the comment here. Eric Wilson, Fireside Ranger, says, will Panarin extend the point streak tonight? I'm going to have to go ahead and say yes. He's on 11 games deep. The longest Rangers point streak to start a season, I believe, is 14. So we're only 3 games out. So I think it's very, very doable. But I don't know, Tony, your thoughts on Panarin, because you haven't been here on a live stream in a while. Just break down Panarin. Do you think he extends the point streak tonight against Detroit?
Yeah, I do. I think that Panarin is unstoppable this season. I think he's MVP level. I think he's going to win awards at the end of the year. And I think that it really was the difference of getting those evils that lurked in his hair out of here. Once he shaved his head, we saw a new man. And I think that this kind of confidence and focus that he's playing with is making all the difference. So like unironically though, like the shaving of the head, I think that was like a real moment for Panarin where he decided he was going to start playing with more focus, more confidence, and just bring this new aura about him into the season. And I think he's done that. Like that was what he discussed when he was asked about the change in his appearance. He said that this is just me focusing on pure hockey. Like that's kind of like how he framed it. And that's really what we're seeing. Like Artemi Panarin is just completely dialed in. He's locked in here. And I think that point streak is going to continue. I think that the 14 that you mentioned, the streak record, I think that's definitely in danger of being broken by Panarin. He's looked sharp all season long, and somehow, some way, he always finds a way to put a point up. So, yeah, I think he's getting a point tonight, and I don't think that he's stopping tonight.
He does always find a way to put up those points. But Will, you look at Detroit, they're a solid team so far this season. They have a winning record. This is probably one of the more formidable opponents the Rangers have gone against. And you look at their defensive core. Moritz Seider, probably the star for them on that defensive core. And they got a couple of good names here, like Ben Sherratt, Shane Gostisbehere, Oli Mata. There's some good names down there on that defense. I think tonight they're running with Ville Husso in net. I think I said that correctly. But you just look at the Rangers offense and Detroit's defense. How do they compare? Obviously, the Rangers have a very talented offense that will, knock on wood, hopefully at least put up a couple goals. But how will Detroit's defense really affect the Rangers' ability to put the puck in the back of the net and get Panarin on that score sheet?
I really don't know much about Detroit's defense, but I mean, Mort Seider is playing really well this year. I don't know how he's doing on the defensive side of the puck, but on the offensive side, he has 10 assists. So he's doing really well. But I mean, I think the Rangers offense, hopefully, they're not getting beat down by the Red Wings. I mean, they really haven't done it a lot at 5v5 since those first couple games. So hopefully they have an easy time, scoring tonight, but I don't know if they're going to be very good at 5v5 again, because in the past couple games, it's been just score on the power play, and that's about it. Maybe get one goal at 5v5.
Yeah, it is what it is. But, outside of offense, defense, I think a big thing to bring into account is the goaltending. As Anthony, you kind of mentioned it at the very beginning of the stream, Jonathan Quick is going to be the starter again tonight. Igor Shesterkin still a little banged up, ruled out from tonight's matchup. Hopefully he'll be back in net for the next game when we retake on the Minnesota Wild a second time. But for tonight, we're going to see Jonathan Quick. He started off the season pretty well, to say the least. 2-0, one shutout. But then he starts against Minnesota, has a pretty good first period, and then it all went downhill from there. And I think a big portion of that is the fact that the defense in front of him played absolutely horrible. I'm not going to throw any of those against Quick, but it was a pretty disappointing game from Quick and the defense and the offense and pretty much the whole Ranger team. But we're stuck running with Quick again. So Tony, has his performance against Minnesota kind of wavered your confidence in him, or are you kind of ready to see him tear it up against Detroit again tonight?
Tear it up is pretty strong. I'm not sure he's going to tear it up, but I'm not having my confidence wavered by that one performance where, let's face it, everybody on the Rangers kind of sucked for the final two periods, especially defensively. I don't place all that blame on Jonathan Quick. I think that he's played just fine so far this season. Obviously, the shutout, that's a highlight. Like, he's had some really good moments here, and he's made some really impressive saves as well. And I just don't blame that game on him. So no, my confidence, it hasn't faltered because of that performance. And I don't think that, you said stuck with Jonathan Quick. I don't really feel stuck with him. I still feel pretty confident in him that he's going to go out there and perform well. So I don't feel stuck. I think that the Rangers finally have a backup goalie that we can feel pretty comfortable with. So Shesterkin, let's hope that Igor just rests up and gets back to full health soon, but I don't really think that the Rangers need to rush him back even. I think that they can kind of get by with Quick here as long as the defense is playing well, but that is the problem, is the defense wasn't playing well in that last game. Adam Fox, not being in the lineup is a huge part of that, but I think that was kind of like their first game without Fox. Let's see, and they kind of weren't ready for that task just yet, but now that they've played a game without Fox in the lineup, this will be their second game without Fox in the lineup. Hopefully they're more prepared. They're more kind of adjusted and kind of have an understanding of where they need to overcompensate and undercompensate to make up for the loss of Fox. So hopefully the defense performs better in this game. I think that's really rather than, I get why we're focusing on Jonathan Quick because he's backup goalie, but really the focus needs to be on this defense. This defense needs to support Jonathan Quick. I think he's been doing great in that. Let's see how the defense kind of responds to this performance that they just had, which was really, really poor and kind of made Jonathan Quick look bad. Hopefully they play better in this one, allows Jonathan Quick to look better and the whole team will look better. But really, we can't understate the importance of Adam Fox to this team. The impact of him being absent from the lineup is huge. And like I said, I'm just hoping that last game was kind of their like, oh shit moment without Adam Fox in the lineup. Like, let's see how we figure this out. They didn't have it figured out, but hopefully now that they have a game under their belt without Fox in the lineup, I think that they're going to enter this game more prepared, hopefully play better defensively, and that will lead to an also better performance from Jonathan Quick.
Yeah, I do want to clarify. I guess I did say we were stuck with Quick. That was very poor wording on my choice. I'm very confident in Quick as well. Still, it's just having Shesterkin as your starter. It's one of those things where you get like a little like greedy and like selfish as a Rangers fan, where like our backup could be like Andre Vasilevsky, and if it wasn't Igor, I'd still be like, darn it, like got to play this guy instead of our number one. But that's just how it is being a Rangers fans with goaltending these days. But you are right, Tony. The defense is a big thing, and not much is changing with the Rangers defense tonight. Before I break it down, Collin did clarify for us, Detroit's defense is the definition of mid, so we better be decent at 5v5. That would be a great thing to see. I sure hope so. But on the subject of the Rangers defense, based on the practice lines we saw yesterday, the top defensive pairing is going to be Miller and Trouba, so they're staying together. The second defensive pairing is going to be Gustafsson and Lindgren. And then, like, not surprisingly, but kind of disappointing, Jones and Schneider still together as the third defensive pairing. They were pretty bad together, as they always are against Minnesota. But Laviolette said that Jones's confidence is still really high. They're working really hard together, and he's not going to make any judgments based on one game so far this season. But in my opinion, it's not just one game this season. It's all the games we saw last season that I'm kind of ready to break that up and kind of just assume that it's not going to work. So if I were Laviolette, I would not play Jones and Schneider tonight. But Will, I'm not sure how you feel. I know we didn't really talk that much about the defense during while we were watching the game against Minnesota, but I'll tell you, I did not like Jones and Schneider, and I'm just curious to know your thoughts on that defense as a whole.
I didn't even watch the game because I was on a plane and I knew that pairing was terrible. Like, just from reading Twitter, like, everyone was pissed. I honestly would I would keep Jones up because I do think he's a good defenseman. I just think that Schneider needs he needs a guy like Gustafsson on the third pair to help him, or like an actual stable veteran on that pairing with him. I'd put Jones with Lindgren, but that's just me. But that pairing is terrible. It needs to be split up. I like that Laviolette is a little bit more patient with his before he makes a change, but like you said, I know it's been one game this year. Well, it's really been two. It's been 2 games this year, but it's also the games last year. We know how this pairing works. We know they're not going to be good together. Just change it up. Just see how it is. Just do it for a shift, maybe 2 shifts, 3 shifts. See how it goes, and then after that, if they're still not good, put them back later in the game, or just scratch Jones again. But you got to switch those pairings.
Yeah, and you think about it, right? Today is November 7th when we're playing against Detroit. The earliest possible date that Fox can come back from the LTIR is November 29th. So we're still weeks out from getting Fox back. And that's at the minimum, that's the earliest possible date he can come back. He could very well be out for much longer. So the Rangers are kind of going to be stuck with Zach Jones for the foreseeable future. Pavel in the chat asked, why not call up Harper? It's because we don't have money. The only reason Jones is here is because we couldn't physically afford to call up any other defender from anyone.
Well, Tony. With Adam Fox on LTIR, I think that they do have some money to work with because of that. I think his contract goes off the book. So I do think that they could call up Ben Harper or even Matthew Robertson as well. I know that's another Rangers defensive prospect that could be getting the call up if Zach Jones doesn't perform well. I think that they do have enough money. I'm maybe I need clarification on this rule. I think that Will knows it better, but I'm pretty sure when a player is placed on LTIR, their contract is taken off the books for the time being. So the Rangers technically have $9 million in cap space to make call ups. But once he returns from LTIR, his contract gets put back on the books. So for now, though, they can make call ups pretty much with all peace of mind and bring up Harper if they feel like they need to.
Yeah, Will, can you clarify that? Because I think Tony might actually be right.
So that's right. So when a player goes on LTIR, you get their cap space back. So Adam Fox makes $9.5 million a year. The Rangers get $9.5 million in cap space. But once he comes back, that $9.5 million is taken off the books, which is fine because then you can just send those guys down. And like if he was gone the entire year, which the Lightning did with Kucherov, the 2 years, you could just have $9.5 million the entire year, and then once playoff comes back, it doesn't even matter. So, but yeah, Tony was right in saying that.
This is the second time in a row we've brought up cap circumvention. I think this is foreshadowing that the Rangers are going to pull it off with Adam Fox this year. But yeah, I'm happy you brought that up then, because then that does raise a good question from Pavel. Why not call up Harper? I mean, I get it. It's only been 2 games, but I think after tonight, if Jones and Schneider play terrible together again, I think you at least try to switch it up. Will, you said Jones and Lindgren. I think it has the potential to be good, but I think you got to at least try it. And then if that doesn't work out, then I think you got to start considering other options, because now we're working with $9.5 million here. The Rangers actually have some decent money. Now, obviously, you can't do anything too crazy with it because in a couple of weeks it's going to get taken away. But I think you can make a lot of call-ups here, maybe even experiment with the offense as well with Brennan Othman. Maybe even just call him up as like an extra forward or something. But I'm not sure. I just think the defense, Jones, it doesn't even look bad. It's just him and Schneider together it's mind-blowingly terrible. And I can't get over it. And I'm not looking forward to watching that in 26 minutes.
Oh God.
But
pray for Eric.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game.
He might not be here tomorrow.
I don't know. I am excited for the game, though. Like I said, the Rangers, very, very good team, but Detroit's also pretty good. So it should be a close one. Collin in here in the chat says, thoughts on Trouba and his league-leading 42 block shots. On the subject of block shots, I think that game against Minnesota, when it first started off, the Rangers were playing insane blocking shots. And I don't remember who did they pick up their last win against? Carolina, I think it was. Yeah. They block shots like crazy, and playing defense like that, like inserting that level of physicality, sacrificing the body to prevent shots on net. It's insane. It never happened under Gallant. And the Rangers got scored on a lot under Gallant, but under Laviolette, the Rangers are playing a lot better defensively. They're blocking these shots, and Trouba, as the captain, is the fearless leader who's leading the Rangers to victory. So I love Jacob Trouba. We're very critical of him last season. He's much better this year, and his block shots are insane. But Tony, your thoughts on Trouba so far this season?
Listen, Trouba is one of those players that plays with the IDGAF chip on his shoulder. He just likes to go out there, put his body on the line, be physical, fight people, and that's what you kind of love. That's what you want to see from your captain. So I think that he's actually having a good year. There were times last season, Eric, where we would get frustrated beyond all belief with Jacob Trouba. He would really annoy the hell out of us in certain situations, but this year I haven't really felt that way. I think that he's kind of playing at a really high level, higher than we probably even expected of him. And I just want to see him continue to keep this pace, and I don't want to see the, the infamous helmet throw moment. I don't want there to be any moment like that midway through the season for the Rangers. I just need Jacob Trouba to keep doing what he's doing, keep setting the tone for this Rangers team, and hopefully the team just keeps playing at a high level so we don't get to that moment. But yeah, I'm impressed with him, and I think he's playing great so far this season.
Yeah, he's a leader. He's a fighter, and he did have the helmet throw. I like what you said. We hope we don't need another one of those, but if we ever do end up needing one, I'm sure he'll deliver it. Will, I have this quote from Trouba from the game against Carolina on Sebastian Aho. He said, "I got to fight every time I do something." So I figure he should probably have to answer for it too, but I guess he didn't feel that way. He's kind of poking fun at Aho for like attempted murder on Adam Fox, but you got to respect that out of Trouba. He's always going to stand up for what he does. He doesn't care if he has to lay someone out. If he's going to get jumped by like 3 guys after that, He's going to do it. But Will, your thoughts on Trouba's leadership, just the difference between this season and last season? How much of an improvement have you seen?
Yeah, I've seen a lot of improvement in his leadership, and that quote again on he made towards Aho was awesome. I'm gonna be the first one to say I hate Sebastian Aho. I hate the Carolina Hurricanes. Like I hate them. And Trouba saying that after the game, that wouldn't have happened last year. Like he has been awesome with helping out younger guys. Obviously the helmet throw last year really pumped his guys up, but he's doing more. He's blocking shots. He's putting his body on the line. He's a true warrior. And I know a lot of people are very skeptical because he makes $8 million and it shouldn't, but he has been, there's a reason why he's the captain. I know everyone wanted it to be Kreider or Zibanejad, but there's a reason why Trouba is the captain, and that's because he's obviously everyone in the locker room thinks he's a great leader, and he's always going to stick up for his guys. There's never a time where he won't stick up for his guys. And I think Aho, he was right when Aho should have answered for that. I thought he was going to beat the shit. Sorry. I thought he was going to beat the crap out of Aho, but he didn't. But it is what it is. Next game, hopefully it's different with that.
Yeah. I mean, all I'm saying is Carolina went out of their way, paid the refs to try to take out the Rangers, tried to injure our star players, and they still lost. And they're going to keep crying about it till we meet next time. But we are about 22 minutes away from game time. Collin did just say he's going to go drink his face off. Good job on the live. And as always, let's go Rangers. Have fun out there tonight, Collin. Happy to see you at the game. Hopefully one day I'll be able to go to one this season, but we'll see. But as we're going to start to wrap things up soon so we can all get situated for the game, as always, I want to end the live stream by doing a couple final score predictions. So to everyone down in the comment section below, start dropping your score prediction for tonight's game, and we'll be sure to come back.
Parlay.
Yeah, Will, you also got to drop the parlay at the very end. But Tony, score prediction from you. How are you feeling?
The Rangers are going to have a 3-1 lead. They're going to blow the 3-1 lead, and they're going to win 4-3 in overtime.
Oh God!
Well, I thought it was
typical Rangers fashion.
Typical Rangers fashion. That sounds about right. I think the most typical Rangers fashion would be losing like 14-0. We're going to be the ones to hand San Jose their first ever victory. But Will, hit me with the final score prediction and give us your daily parlay.
All right, score prediction. Gotta cook something up here. It's gonna be 4-2 Rangers, and I know it's been 2 weeks in a row. Nick Bonino is scoring tonight. Okay, trust me when I say that. I'm from the future. I know he scores. Okay, he scores once, and Blake Wheeler has a hat trick.
That's an incredible parlay. It's only a 2-leg parlay this week. That's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah. Oh wait. Yeah. I was gonna say Igor scores a goal, but they wouldn't pull the goalie if it's. What did I say 4-1? No, I said 4-2. Okay, no wait. They pull the goalie, and Igor scores a goal. It's 5-2.
Incredible.
There you go.
Might be challenging since Igor's not playing, but yeah.
Oh, Quick scores a goal. Screw it. Quick scores a goal. Oh my God.
Igor just jumps in the last 2 minutes.
Dude, I've had such a long day. Yeah, he dresses out. Okay, he somehow dresses out, and I like how this guy's profile picture is Lazy Town. But anyway, he dresses out. Okay, and comes in and scores. He wearing like Panarin's jersey or something. Like Panarin's on the bench shirtless, and Igor comes out and scores a goal. Trust me, I'm from the future. It's gonna happen. All right, trust me.
That's a pretty incredible prediction. Let me go through these first. Lewis says it's Kako Tuesday. It is Tuesday. It's the Kako Taco Tuesday. He could definitely score a goal tonight. Tommy says 3-1 Rangers. Frank says 4-2 Rangers. Pavel, one of our biggest returning viewers, says 2-1 Rangers. Then Tommy later goes on to say Will is definitely smoking something with these picks. And Lewis wraps it up with a Kako hat trick on the third line. I'm going to be optimistic and say the Rangers are going to win, but I'm not going to be too optimistic. I think it's going to be a close one with all the injuries and everything. Tony got fireworks behind him. I didn't know that was
I don't know how I did that.
Do the thumbs up again.
How did I do that?
All right.
I don't know how I did that. That was
Fireworks
crazy.
are going off for the Rangers tonight. I'm going to say a 3-2 win, maybe 2-1. I think it's going to be a 1-goal game. I think it just depends on how the goaltending and the defense play. I'll go 3-2. Panarin hat trick. That's my bold prediction. Tony just playing around with the effects now.
How are you doing that?
I genuinely have no idea. I don't know how I'm doing it. I'm figuring something out here.
Yeah.
Oh, you figured it out too. Nice job.
Anyways, that about wraps up this live stream, doing a little preview and analysis for tonight's Original Six matchup against Detroit. Should be a hard-fought, physical game. We'll be sure to cover everything going on throughout the matchup as it plays out on all of our socials at Fireside Rangers on both Instagram and Twitter. So be sure to like and follow those. As for Fireside Rangers over here on YouTube, make sure you guys like, subscribe, ring that bell so you don't miss a notification. If you're watching us on Apple or Spotify, be sure to give us a 5-star review and be sure to leave your comments about the game on Fireside Rangers, at Fireside Rangers on everything so we can be able to respond and know how you guys are feeling about the game. And we'll be back tomorrow to discuss more content about the Rangers. Thank you all for watching. Have a good one, and let's go
Rangers.
That's a good one, Will.